Alrighty, we had a crazy day in the market today. Target gapped up huge on great earnings. If you saw the Target technical analysis video a couple weeks ago, you could have kind of anticipated this move a little bit through long-term spreads, and that's exactly what we did. And so we were kind of taking some profits on Target on the long-term spreads, $52 into $280, and we still have one spread riding on Target. So Target, today we had a huge gap up, massive move, and we started to really push up. We formed a nice bull flag and then popped, formed another bull flag right here, and then we popped. And then Target just kept stepping up. This is a beautiful trend day. These are the types of things that we like to catch. And eventually we started to roll over. The SPY had a decent sized red day after making an all-time high, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But right here I exited that call spread. And so we still have one call spread that we are writing. And so what do you do if you have a call spread and both strikes are in the money? Well, it kind of turns into a credit spread. And a credit spread is basically where you start collecting premium. So Target's well above 146. Target's at about $154 a share. So all we need to do is wait for September 11th to come by, and if Target's above 146, this will turn into $100. Right now it's worth $80. We paid $25 for it, so debit spreads, small risk, max loss of $25, and the max profit is $75. And right now we're up 55 of that $75. We might take it early just because it's not worth the risk to potentially risk $80 if Target dumps below 145. I'm risking $80 to make the last $20. So we'll just let Target, it closed at the high of the day, it's still pushing. We'll just let it fizzle out, and if we see signs or signal of a trend change, we'll be taking off that debit spread. So, and yeah, we were up huge on the day before the SPY sell-off. We were up, $600, $700. I think at one point we were almost hit $1,000 in unrealized profits, but the SPY ended up selling off. We got clapped on a Tesla call that at the end of the day, I don't think this option is pricing this correctly, but it was worth $250. And then right at the end of the day, it just dropped $150. I don't think Tesla dropped enough to warrant that, but Target, great way to start off the day. Our next trade of the day was Nike, and we mentioned Nike in the game plan or in one of our trade recap videos that's what we're swing trading, because look, we had this nice move up, sideways consolidation, textbook bull flag, and we popped it today. We even finished with a hammer candle the other day just to make things even better. So Nike, we had a nice push up in the morning, and I actually added to Nike over 108, and we've got a huge nice push up to 109.10, and I didn't take my profits. I was fiddling with TOS. I couldn't really get out, so then I was still kind of stuck in the trade, basically at break even right about here when we came all the way back to 108. But then we formed another triangle pattern, and then I went long. So first off, we went long over 108 right here, and it's not necessarily a technical entry, but we had the game plan that to go long once Nike started hitting all-time highs. So we went long right there, didn't take profits. We formed a nice triangle pattern and actually added to Nike right about there. And we got this nice push up through the high of the day, and I ended up taking off some profits at about 109.31. And then we started to roll over, and I took off the second contract at 108.56, and that was for a nice $74. We had one contract at 109, and that was basically break even on that second one. So Nike looking really good. Kept pushing up for the rest of the day. That's good for Nike, but it ended up selling off with the SPY, which we'll go over. Our next trade of the day was on Roku, and Roku, this was kind of annoying by Thinkorswim for me, but Roku had a pull down, a nice push up, so it negated all the short sellers. They're all trapped. And right here, I wanted to get long, but I was like, oh, I'll maybe wait for a pullback. And right here, this at one point was a green candle, and the bid was holding strong. So I had my order for a 152.5 strike call, and Roku this was a green candle at one point, but then it started to come down, and I noticed that the bid was thinning up. The buyers weren't stepping up as much as they should have. So that if the bid is not thickening and it's softening up and pulling back, I usually like to pull my orders. And I tried to pull my order, and Thinkorswim glitched for a second, and then it showed that it filled me on the order. So I was like, oh, great. Now we're stuck with Roku potentially on a waterfall sell-off. And eventually Roku just kept going down, and I was risking off the low of the day, and we had to sell Roku at the low of the day, or at least at this point, the low of the day. And that was an unpleasant expense trade right here. Minus 70 on Roku. So our next trade of the day was Square, SQ. And so after Roku, I was like, I'm just going to be a little bit more careful with my profits. We gapped up and then sold off right into this daily demand zone and bounced right there. Once it bounces from there, I can assume that we should be in a new uptrend after bouncing off of demand. And so we got long right over here on this little breakout over 151. And then Square had a nice little push up, and we just took it at 151.67, 151.50 area on this red candle, I believe. And so that was a nice small revenue trade on Square. And so the next trade of the day was the most annoying trade of the day. And the reason it's the most annoying is because I was so confident in this trade. So let's clear this drawing set real quick. But Microsoft had a nice bull flag pattern on a higher time frame that was just kind of wedging up, and we had this nice sideways consolidation. I guess maybe looking back on it, it's not as nice as I thought it was, but we broke the high of the day after selling off. That's usually bullish. I went ahead and bought one call contract right here, targeting about 213, and I was using a wide stop of about 210.50, and we started zigzagging up. And what I should have realized is that this is sort of like a rising wedge instead of a bull flag. But the setup still looked really good. And over 212, I actually added 2 contracts. So I took a lot of risk because at this point in time, you don't know that there's going to be a red candle. But right here, we got a nice volume spike, and that usually signifies follow-through buying. And so if you're going to get follow-through, you want to size up and catch the larger portion of that move. And so Microsoft was looking good at this point, and then it started to roll over and really sold off, and I caught horrible slippage on this sell-off. And so Microsoft was a very annoying expense trade that negated a lot of the profits for the day. But we still ended up finishing green, so I'm thankful. But Microsoft started really selling off, and I started to cut it once SPY broke this support right here. We sold off from 338, bounced up, and then sold off even more. So SPY, likely some continued downside. And then while that sell-off was going on, AMZN was selling off. And if we show our trades right here, we were long, and we were sitting good on the position. I probably should have went break even instead, but we went long right about here yesterday, and we were saying to swing trade it should have some follow-through. Had a little bit of follow-through, sold off, came up, and then on this sell-off, I got flat right about there, 32.79. So in at 32.96, out at 32.79 for a small expense trade of about $17. So shares, a lot less volatile than options. And then lastly, VIX. We got a swing trade VIX call. Because SPY is selling off, VIX goes up when the fear and volatility expands, and generally goes up when the SPY sells off. So we're long volatility, as they say on the trading floor. And then SPXS is a hedge that I also have for all my other long trades, and we just got about 71 shares at 591. So crazy day, big sell off on the SPY. Keep an eye out for Nike still, and keep an eye out for Target to see if it can have a continuation move. We might see a little bit of a sell-off, though, based on the SPY. There's Target hitting all-time highs after hours. Alrighty, let me know if you have any questions. See ya.